Next to this question identifier here, still in that row here though, I want to output another column. And that's also something you can do, and you will do quite frequently with Flutter. You have rows inside of columns, which then might contain more columns, so that you can really structure the content on your screen exactly as you want to structure it. And if in a row, next to another item, you want to have a couple of rows, you need a column inside of a row, because a column widget allows you to display multiple items on top of each other vertically, which is the definition of having multiple rows. So here I'll add another column so that inside of this column, I can output the question, the chosen answer, and the correct answer. So for this here, in this list, which again should be a list of widgets, we can start with the question, output with help of the text widget. And for this, we can access data question, and this here actually should be question index, of course, therefore. So here I want to access the question. And again, Dart does not know which kind of value we'll get here, but it does know that it wants a string, and this potentially isn't a string. It could be any kind of value, and therefore we again have to do some typecasting here to tell Dart that we know that this here will be a string. And with that, we're outputting that question. Now below this text here, which represents the question, I want to have a little sized box for some spacing, some vertical spacing by setting some height here. And then more text widgets, one for the selected answer and one for the correct answer. Now for the selected answer, we can and should access our map and then there the user answer, because that is the answer chosen by the user. So user answer it is here. And again, we need to tell Dart that this will be a string. And then below that, we output the correct answer by accessing correct answer on this map here. And with that, we should be outputting a list of summary data. So therefore now we can go back to the results screen and use this questions summary widget there. So for that, as always, it must be imported there from our own package, the questions summary Dart file. And with the import added, here instead of that placeholder, we can now output questions summary. And we have to pass our summary data to questions summary. And that simply means that we must execute this function, which generates and returns that summary data. So therefore down here, we should call get summary data and execute it as a function. Here we're not passing the function name as a value because questions summary does not want a function as a value here, but instead a list of maps. And that's exactly what get summary data produces, but therefore we also have to call it here. And with that, if you save this all and reload everything, you should be able to restart the quiz and pick any answers here. And you end up on this results screen where we actually got no list here. So what's the problem here? Well, the problem is this line of code in our quiz state class in the quiz.dart file. Here we are resetting the selected answers back to an empty list. And therefore, of course, since we call setState, when the build method executes the next time, we're passing this empty list, which we set here, as a value to the results screen. So there basically are no selected answers there. Now we did this before to avoid an error when we restarted the quiz. And we will still have to do that when we restart the quiz, but now we aren't restarting the quiz here. We're showing the results screen instead. So therefore here, this code should be removed and we'll bring it back later once we take care about adding a restart quiz functionality. For now, we should get rid of it, and therefore now if we save this and restart, we should be able to answer here. And now we have our list here. Of course, pretty ugly, no formatting. Also, in my case here, with some strange error, which is simply a little feature provided by Flutter when running this app in development to show you that some widgets are cut off and are going outside of your screen boundaries. But we'll take care of all of that soon. What you can still see, besides this being broken, is that we have our question numbers here, and that in the end we seem to have some rows here. For example, this here is a row. This here is another row. And in every row, we first have the index here, and then next to it, we have more columns here, for example, where we then have the question and the chosen answer and the correct answer. So our layout generally works. We have an overall column with multiple rows, and in every row, we have 2 columns, one column with the index, and then another column with more rows, with the question and the chosen answer and the correct answer. But of course, as mentioned, it's ugly and it's broken. So that's what we'll fix next, therefore.